That's good.
I did plug it in, so I don't know if it changes the audio.
All right, so. Hello, Chris Wagoner.
Hi, Quincy.
How are you today?
I'm awesome. Great. Thank you.
So I have a few questions.
Okay.
First question. When did you start playing the mandolin and fiddle?
That's a hard one. No, I started playing the violin in 4th grade in Oskaloosa, Iowa, a little town southeast Iowa. The new strings teacher had just come to town. I remember sitting in Mrs. Scott's 4th grade class, I think it was, and he came in, he was invited in, and said, "Hey, anyone interested in playing the violin?" And I was playing saxophone at the time. I'd played saxophone for a year because my buddy did that, and that was fine. But something about the violin, I was like, I need to check this out. So I went out in the hallway with a few other kids, and he played. My memories, what I remember, he's played a fiddle tune. And it was kind of like the Pied Pipers. Like, I remember going home to my mom and dad, and I'm like, I could hardly speak. It's like, I have to do that. I have to do this. That's what I want to do. And so I dropped the sax like a hot potato for the fiddle. And I'd already been playing piano for a couple years with lessons and such. One side of my family was very musical, is still very musical. And so whenever we'd get together with them a few times a year, about an hour away, everyone played something, some stringed instrument, and we would just play. It was like gospel music, old-timey, bluegrass, country, whatever, Christmas tunes. And everyone, they would just play. There was no music, they would sing and just play. And so I figured, well, if they can do that, I can do that too. And my dad played piano and accordion, and not professionally, but so they just played. So there was that side. And the mandolin, I'm getting around to the mando. One Christmas, my cousin on that side got a mandolin, $32 from the JCPenney catalog. Yeah, and I asked her if I could try it. We were there for Christmas, and so I was sitting around just by myself, and and I didn't know this. It dawned on me. I realized, wait a minute, I'm playing stuff. How do I know that? I didn't know that the mandolin was tuned like a violin.
I heard that.
Right. So I was like, I know how to play this, and she was jealous because it was like, wait a minute, you just picked that up. So of course, I'm back to begging my parents for something, and they got me a $32 JCPenney catalog mandolin. So I've been playing mando for almost as long. Because they're related, and so many stringed instruments are related, and so that's how I got into kind of being a multi-instrumentalist on strings, is like just finding these relationships, and so much of the technique crosses over. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
cool.
I can't help it.
Where did you get your inspiration for music?
Well, I think like a lot of people who are fortunate enough to come from a family that has musicians, professional or otherwise, that's the biggest thing, Hearing music, my folks had a stereo and they'd play a lot of stuff. It was mostly like, it was an interesting variety of stuff, I think. It was like classical music, but also other off the beaten path things. Not so much specifically, actually I would say probably bigger credit to my older brothers and sister. They're all like at 10 and 11 and 12 years older than me. But because of that, so I was born in 65, but they were all 10, 11, 12 years older than me then, right? So they were children of the 60s. So they were listening to all kinds of crazy cool stuff. And then, I loved it when the folks would say, ask them to babysit me, because they'd have their friends over and they'd plop me in front of the stereo with like a King Crimson album or whatever, and just looking at the liner notes and just replaying stuff. So I grew up on their music, which was all the really kind of interesting experimental pop rock / whatever music of the 60s and the 70s. And so I feel really fortunate about that, and I know you are a connoisseur of that era as well. and anything that's melodic and interesting that grabs your ear, and I feel similar in that way. Like outside of genres, do you like it? Without before saying, well, I like these kinds of things. I don't know what to call that. So it's like, well, you like it?
Right?
Does it move you?
You have to like it.
You have to like it, yeah. But I think trying to remain, it gets harder as we get older, I think, at least in general. I mean, generalizing is always tough because everyone's different, but yeah, I'm really trying to, because I'm a teacher too, especially that, I think, but also as a performer, trying to remain open to new things that I don't know anything about or that I didn't grow up with. Mostly we can tend to be moved by things that we grew up with. Like hip hop is not of my world, but billions of people around the planet, it's huge. So I go, what is it about this music? What is it? Show me, tell me, So I'm reading about it and listening and going, well, what's the inspiration? And is there something that is relevant for me that I can take from this, or even to whatever? That's got to try to keep moving. Yeah.
Gotta keep moving.
Got to keep moving. Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So, how did you get to the point where you could perform live and with bands?
Well, I think jamming with the family. I kind of was always on stage a little bit. So growing up in a church too, my dad was well, that's another story. But he was a Quaker, raised as a Quaker, but he was an ordained Methodist minister, and so I was always in churches. Either he'd travel around and preach at different churches, little country churches, or the one that we went to, the Methodist church in Oskaloosa, Iowa, and so I was always in the choir, even as a little kid, and so was used to kind of performing in that way in a group, so kind of lost a fear of that. Yeah. So I think that was it, really. Always performing in some kind of vocal group, or when I started playing, in orchestras, or the church would say, hey, can you play violin with this? It's like, okay. Yeah.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for aspiring musicians and like ways to get their music out there?
It's kind of two questions.
Right, that is
Right, because one's business related, right? Getting your music out there, and I'm not sure I'm the right person to ask about that because I'm an old guy, but I mean, right? But because there's so many ways that, the younger folks, whatever generation you're in, you tend to be better connected with how to connect with others of your age or genre that you're in. So it's digging into that too. It's the learning from other people. I think that's the big one, is if you're insulated, and that's the other thing about performing. If you're just performing, just playing in your room, you're not getting that not that playing out in front of the public is everyone's goal. It's not. I have students that are like, I don't care if I ever play in front of people. I enjoy playing in my living room. Great. Are you happy? Yay. So I think that's the other thing. It's like if it makes you happy, right? And so if being a performer makes you happy, whatever your motivation is for being a performer or a teacher, or whatever your relationship is to music, then that's the right path for you, really. But I think pushing yourself too, because you might really not know until you try. Like I know a lot of musicians that are wonderful, fantastic performers who are not very good teachers, right? And it's a particular mindset, and it's a skill that you have to hone over many years. I've been teaching privately for years and years, and I do it because I really enjoy it. I love meeting new people and dealing with them one-on-one. And I find teaching a classroom, actually, I find more challenging, a lot more challenging, because it's not one size fits all. You might be reaching these people, but you're not reaching them. And to reach them, you have to put them on hold. So really good classroom teachers, there's an incredible art to that. I don't know if I answered your question.
I don't I don't know.
Yeah, so I think follow your inspiration, of course, but don't be afraid to try some things to find out what's a good fit. Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. What are the names of the bands you're in?
Okay. Well, currently, my wife and I just call ourselves Gaines and Wagoner. Her name is Mary Gaines, and so we finally decided to just use our own names because for branding purposes, right? It's like people, no matter what we do as Gaines and Wagoner, they'll still know who we are. We used to call ourselves the Stellanovas, and that worked for a few years, but then it's like nobody knows who that is. Fine. And another long-term band that's kind of, that we're back to playing more with is called the Moon Gypsies, which is mostly original roots rock, Americana kind of stuff. I play electric violin and lap steel and accordion, etc. Mary plays fretless electric bass. Gaines and Wagner, she plays cello. And we're playing really vintage jazz and blues and some original stuff in that group, and add a drummer sometimes. And but that's currently, I just played O'Darby Irish Pub Band. I play with a friend, Ken Longquist, and with other singer-songwriters backing them in various ways, Josh Hardy. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. But so many bands over the years, so many different kinds of bands. Harmonious Whale is a vintage jazz band, and the Common Faces was our big band back in the 90s. We toured all over the place. And that was all original music that was really kind of dance music of the day.
What kind of dance?
Well, it was kind of, I don't even know what genre you call it. I mean, it was pop. It was kind of like, we called it folk soul, because our inspiration was R&B. But it was really, so kind of bluesy, jazzy, definitely a beat, rock, funk. It was just a mix of all kinds of stuff. And it went from a three-piece, Mary and I and our partner Asa, guitar player, songwriter, huge voice, a lot of vocals, three-piece to like a nine-piece. We'd had sometimes two drummers. Clyde Stubblefield, drummer, he often played with us and recorded with us, and another drummer, and that's really something. And sometimes a horn section and a conga player and another fiddle player. So that was really fun and loud, and yeah, kind of a traveling party. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. There are others that I'm missing, but I don't remember.
That's fine.
Bob Westfall, that's our other buddy that we played more acoustic music with, and he made that mandolin by hand. I don't know if that's in the frame. But he was one of the greatest mandolin and guitar players we've ever played with, and he passed a few years ago, but Bob Westfall band for many years, yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice mandolin.
Yeah. This was his fiddle, too. And so I got that as well. His wife wanted me to have that. And yeah.
Wondered about that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, how long have you and Mary been playing together?
Good question. I moved up to Madison from Iowa in '84 to go to school here at the UW, and I met her the first day I came to class, the first day on campus before classes even started. And I went behind the Memorial Union and she was playing with a little jazz trio with mandolin, her playing cello, and a guitar player, and they were playing jazz. They were playing Miles Davis on those instruments. And she was walking bass lines on a cello and had these funky cat eye shades and these pointy green boots, and I was like, I think I should meet this person. And it was a little awkward because my girlfriend at the time had driven up with my parents to drop me off. But
It's a little awkward.
no, it wasn't. We became friends in music school, of course, and then and we started dating maybe a year later. We were playing jazz on the streets, actually, with another guitar player. And so we've been playing together for 40 years now. Oh man, wow. Yeah, since '85.
Wow.
40 years.
On the dot.
On the dot, yeah.
Calls for a celebration.
Yes. Wee, wee. Yeah.
how many CDs do you have?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't. Well, of our bands, I mean, it's just a couple with Gaines and Wagoner. I don't know, boy. I mean, Common Faces put out 4. Moon Gypsies, we had 3. But as a session musician, I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. Hundreds, probably. Yeah, yeah. Because a session musician that's one of the really fun things about that I enjoy as much as teaching and performing is doing session work. Yeah. And there's a lot of local stuff, but there's also a fair bit of regional stuff. We've done some national and international stuff too, that through some of the bigger studios, it happens, and you just say, "Yep, I'll be there." Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for answering some questions.
No problem.
Would you like to play a little, like a,
Sure.
like a little...
Okay, here's a tune I wrote. It's a Cajun tune, and it still needs French lyrics. But right now, it's just 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
Yep. Bebop or a blues, I don't know. It's just, you can play anything you want on basically any instrument.